Hi everyone, welcome back to the show. So I'm here, hopefully not jittering too much, with my delicious tea. You can see the scenery. We've just been for a swim. As any of you that know me know that that's one of my absolute favourite things to do. And if you're listening to this, I can tell you I'm going to set a little scene. Think golden rocks, crystal clear water, a kind of wintry morning with the sun coming over the bay, and a cute little village with forest, Mediterranean forest, which I don't think I've really experienced that much before, all around. It's really magical. So anyway, let's get into today's topic. So this is something that came up for me. As ever, this is how I lead my show, by my heart, by what's really going on for me at the time, what's going on for those around me, and what's going on in the world. And a thing that I noticed a couple of days ago was this, I like to call it, it's like ever becomingness, but I'll explain a little bit what that means. It's this desire, and it's one of the 3 desires in Buddhism, which I'll talk about in a moment, of becoming. So think aims and ambitions and goals. So we're talking about this today because this is really poignant, I think, and is a driver in a lot of our lives, and something that's really good for us all to explore. It's actually a way of freeing ourselves from the grip of it. So this desire is one of the 3 spheres of desire in Buddhism. As you know, I'm a practicing Buddhist as well as many other things. And I find that I love Buddhism for the fact that it doesn't tell you how to be. It invites you to explore your inner world and how to do that. So this desire, one of the 3, is about getting. So it's that feeling of like wanting more, of becoming more, of wanting to be better, of wanting to get something more. So that isn't obviously always a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all, and it doesn't say that it's a bad thing, but it is a bad thing in itself, or not a bad thing, but it can be a challenge if we only live in that essence. So if you think about, if you're wanting to become more, and that as itself, then by its nature you never actually get where you want to be. So this came up for me because we've finally landed here after years of talking and planning and visiting places, of wanting to really move. Now, we haven't chosen where we're moving to yet, but we've landed here in Spain as our first destination to look around. It's taken a long time, as you know, that I've been ill for a long time, for a couple of years, and within that we really wanted to go, and we visited some places as best we can. And so it's really a long time coming is what I'm trying to sort of get across. So long time coming, we get here, it takes loads of packing and sorting to be able to be away from our home and leave our home, in essence. We've left the UK and we are now finding our home abroad. We landed here and we were immediately going on to the next thing. Now that is the essence of this kind of becoming desire. So you want something, you work towards it, you do it, you get there, and then you get there. But if you're still in that energy of becoming, that's not enough. You never actually get there. You don't ever get to the aim, the goal, the ambition. It just moves on. And so we reflected on the fact that we were now here and we were just thinking about our next destination, or like exploring here really kind of hardcore style, so that we could figure out whether this was where we wanted to stay in our trip. Like, could this be a player in where we want to live or not? And you might recognise this within yourself. Have you ever had like a job that you really wanted, or a promotion, or you wanted that new car, a bigger car, or you wanted a bigger house, or you wanted a kid and you get your first kid and then you want another kid? You know, it's that essence. Maybe you got the new car and you're sitting in the car and for a few weeks it feels really amazing. You feel on top of the world. Like, yeah, I did it. I got it. I saved up, or I got that job that let me have this. And then it gets a bit boring, or you see someone with a better car and you think, oh, why didn't I wait to get that car? It's that essence of it that can really be problematic in our lives, because if we're not careful, you never actually take in or be present with anything that you're working towards. Now, I'm not saying that the essence of having a desire or moving towards something is a bad thing. It's not. But it's noticing it that's really important. So in a minute, I'll get onto a few things that we can do to notice this and not let us drive our life. But I want to give a little story about how this can really, if we're not careful, become our whole life. So in this book, in a book I'm reading, a brilliant book, it's called Listening to the Heart by Kittisaro and Thanissaro. They're both they were both monastic monks. Monastic monks? Is there any other type of monk? So anyway, they're both monastics, and they had that lifestyle, and they've come out of that. But within that, they're giving a journey through engaged Buddhism, which I love. So it's not about just reading the sutras and everything and just having it as something else, like a lot of religions. Obviously, Buddhism is not a religion. It's really a way of life. It's a sort of practice. It's a practice. That's what I love about it, which can be morphed with many things, which is how I engage with it. And in this book, they teach about engaged Buddhism, and she tells a story of a very, very successful man. He was the CEO of a multi-million-dollar company, had a huge mansion house on the seaside, and cars, and lovely family, and everybody liked him. And they went to dinner, and after a few glasses of wine, the truth started coming out, and he was explaining how, yes, that kind of stressed exterior was true, and it was pervading his whole life. He was stressed all of the time, and he was actually fearful that he was going to have a heart attack. And so she asked him, well, why don't you stop then? You've got everything. You've got what most people would see as like everything. And he said, I'll stop when I'm successful. And that really shocked her and really showed this desire as something that can just, if you're not careful, you get lost in it. He totally got lost in it. The endless going on. And he said that actually when he went on holiday and took a break, so he took like a temporary stop, he couldn't actually relax ever. He couldn't rest. He didn't know how, because his brain was so used to just going on to the next challenge. And that is the epitome of this. And that can seem a bit drastic, like, oh, well, I would know if I got that successful, I'd know and I'd stop. Or if I, when I get there. And I've had this thought myself, especially with moving away. Oh, well, when I get there, when I get my yoga business up to a certain level or whatever, then I'll stop. I would stop. And we tell ourselves that, but would we really? Because think about all the things behind you that you've accomplished. Have you really sat in those things? And also, have you noticed why you accomplished them, or like why you went for them? Is it because you actually felt like you were going to be in a better conditions around you, or is it just because you thought you were going to be happy? Because that is the promise of this desire. It's happiness, isn't it? It's acceptance, it's love, whatever it may be. We all have different reasons to follow that, but a lot of the time we've been taught that if you get this and you do this, you get a good job and you get a house and you get a car, or you travel more and you go on that holiday, you will be happy, or people will like you. And so we can look inward into seeing that as the driver for this desire, which is the second sphere of desire. So I'll talk about the others in another video. But because this was so apparent for me at the moment, it's really important to talk about it, especially when you're touching on it in your life. It's a really good time to explore it. So let's talk about ways that we can explore it. So in order to not let this grip us and just endlessly going after something, we end up missing our life. We do, because you're not present in the moment. You're just thinking about the next thing. We can, first of all, take ourselves into the conditions to be able to see this. So for a lot of people, maybe you're listening to this and you think, do I do that? You might not be able to see it because you're so in it. And it's so normal. In Western society, this is the way that we all live. It's totally normal to just constantly be going on. Keep going, never stop, never rest. No days off, all of that like hustle culture. It's so detrimental for us. Yes, work towards something, but if that's all you're doing, or if that's all that we value is this kind of endless self-development as well, So don't forget, meditation and self-development fall into this as well. If you think that you'll be, you send this into your meditation or your healing, I've got to do this and then I'll be healed. I notice myself, I do that. This is a really big area that I put this into. I'm going to do this course and I'm going to learn how to teach this or do this, and then I'll be, then I'll be healed, then I'll feel better. But it's all actually just farce. It's very illusionary, because it's your mind just not wanting to stop. It wants more. It wants to grasp onto the next thing. There's no solidity to our ego. Yeah, so our ego wants us to just keep going, keep doing, keep moving. If you notice that you often feel quite uncomfortable when you're still. So setting the conditions so that you can be still. So for me, that's nature, coming into nature, swimming in the water, sitting on the beach and just taking it all in, whether you're sitting in a forest or you're by a river, being somewhere that you can just be quiet. Nature teaches us that desire for becoming is not necessary. Nature isn't becoming, nature is, and we are nature, yeah? Our essential nature, our inner nature, which is what we're all looking for, really. We've all come away from the truth of who we really are. All of this external stuff, all of this trying to become or getting more, actually leads us away from our true essence of stillness and just being. What Buddhism and all of the great ancient wisdoms in the world are pointing towards, that inside we just are. We are nature. We just are. That stillness, that quiet, that divine consciousness. And that separation from it can make us think that we have to get more things in order to be happy. But actually, if we turn it inward, if we go into nature and we have quiet time, if we turn ourselves inward, we see that we already are all that we are seeking for. God, that should be like the quote of the day. You already are all that you are seeking for. So that could be something to contemplate. So a second thing to do is meditation. Again, another way of creating a condition where we can see this. So if we're meditating and having quiet time, we're able to reflect. So by creating those conditions, we can see, okay, so what are my drives? What am I going for? Am I able to be present? So meditation really helps us be present with what actually is. And another way is to just see in your life, what parts of my life do I just enjoy? What do I work for? What do I work for? What am I doing? It's really good to just actually notice that, like in your life around you, what surrounds you? Is it moments of joy and presence with loved ones and with yourself and quiet? Or is it just endless striving? You notice, you're just constantly doing and moving towards the next thing. And I know that a lot of people will say, well, how can I just not be doing? Because life is so busy. But we can start to create ways that we let go of some of the things that we don't need to be doing and give ourselves more space. So if you find it uncomfortable to rest, that is a really, really strong sign that you're stuck in this energy of this second sphere of desire, trying to become or get or do more always. And rest tells us that we can just be. So if you're uncomfortable resting, it's something really to practice, to notice, to take the time to rest, and notice if you have that drive to I need to sort that out, or I'll just do that and then I can sit down. Oh, when I get on holiday, then I can rest. When I get to the weekend, then I'll have a rest. All these things show us that we're just in that energy constantly. And how can we change our life? How can we make different choices to not be in that? So for me personally, this is creating a life, hence why we're moving abroad, where these kind of things, sitting out in nature, is part of every day. It's not a luxury that I take on a holiday. Life is part of nature. We live in nature. We live by the sea. We swim every day. We walk in nature. We both have our work set up so that we're choosing our hours, we're choosing the time that we work. And I know this isn't something that is easily, readily available for everybody, but it is available for everybody. We can make choices like this. And it's about choosing what's important. You know, I really ask myself every day to do something that brings me joy. And ideally, every day is set up like that. That isn't a naive, unrealistic, I get told that a lot, way to live life. It isn't. That is the way we should be living life. Because on our deathbed, we're going to wish not that we did more or got more or had more cars or houses or, you know, more doing. We're going to wish that we had more of those moments where we saw how incredible life is, how incredible it is to be present with yourself, be in nature in its beauty, be surrounded by the people you love and doing the things that you love. That is what life is about. We're here, this soul in this body, to recognise our own nature and to really just be here. You being here is all that is needed of you. So I think I'll leave it there. If you've got any questions, do drop them in the comments, whether you're listening to this or watching along on YouTube. I'm really grateful for you being here. I'm sure there's going to be a million things that I wanted to mention in this video, but we'll come back to the other two spheres of desire in other videos, because that can sound a little bit, Buddhist text, but it's not. That it's very, very relatable. This is based on how we live our lives, and it's really useful to reflect on these things. So thanks for listening. Thanks for being here. I'm going to go and get warm and take my cameraman into the warm and get some breakfast. So, as always, have a great day. And I'm just going to let Sean pan out to the beautiful nature here. So if you've got time, well, let's just say, not if you've got time, but let's create the time now. So just have a few moments, whether you're listening to this, listening to the waves, or watching what we're sharing with you, this beautiful surroundings. So just take that time to just be. Namaste.